Hello and welcome to the first episode of my NHL 15 BAGM on PlayStation 4. I'm excited to get this started. I've been waiting a long time to get it started. I've had to wait until the draft came out, and then on top of that I had some other things to deal with before getting to edit and upload this one. So before we get into it, I'd just like to apologize for that, and so here we go. Now, first off, we have the all-important GM name, which never shows up other than this first time, so I'll just cover it briefly. Our GM's name is going to be Eric Redmond. Now, getting into the settings, we first have the quick settings. The GM length will be 25 years, will go as long as possible. Difficulty superstar, draft pick ownership authentic, game style hardcore, injuries on, salary cap on, 5-minute periods, and trade difficulty hard. And for more settings, everything is going to be default, I believe, except for the assistant coach edit lines and goalie rotation. Goalie rotation is on, and the edit lines is off. Now we are finally getting into the roster, starting with James Van Riemsdyk. He is top 6 forward, medium potential, and 87 overall. He will be our first line left wing for many years to come. Next is our first line centerman, Tyler Bozak, exact elite potential at an 87 overall. The 28-year-old will hopefully go nicely this year with Phil Kessel and JVR on the top. Next, our highest overall and hopefully our best player this year, Phil Kessel, our star first line right winger, exact elite potential at 27 years old. At 90 overall, he's a big component of our offense and will hopefully light it up this year. Moving on to the second line, our second line left winger is Joffrey Lupul. At 31 years old, exact top 9 forward potential, and 86 overall. It'll be interesting to see whether we hold on to him for years to come or whether we move on. And now the wild card, Nazem Kadri, high elite potential and 85 overall. He is 23 on the last year of his bridge contract. It'll be interesting to see how much he will want come year end. Another big wild card this year is David Clarkson. Exact top 9 potential. He is an 85 surprisingly, but at 30 years old and a 5.25 cap hit, a grinder may not be the best interest for us on that second line. Now the first off-season addition in David Booth. Booth is an exact top 9 forward. At an 82 overall, he is 29, looking to rejuvenate his career here in Toronto. We'll see how he does on that third line left wing this year. Another new addition this year is Mike Santorelli, exact top 6 forward potential. He is an 84 overall at 28 years old. He had a good season last year in Vancouver, looking to continue it here in Toronto. We'll see how he does on the third line. Ilya Komarov is one of our more interesting players. He is an exact bottom 6 forward potential at 78 overall. He's 27, making $3 million per year. I think he should be a higher overall, but nonetheless we will be playing him on the third line right wing this year. Now on to the fourth line, we have Daniel Winnick. He is exact top 6 forward potential at an 81 overall. He will be playing fourth line left wing minutes. If he plays well though, he could challenge Leo Komarov for that third line right wing spot. Playing fourth line center and looking to grow this year is Peter Holland. At 23 years old, the 79 overall player with medium top 6 forward potential is looking to get that boost after being drafted in the first round by Anaheim. We'll see if he can do that this year. And rounding out the forward unit, we have Richard Panik, who we claimed off waivers. A high top 6 forward potential at 79 overall. The 23-year-old, we're looking for big things from him. Now moving on to the defensive side of things, we have Dion Phaneuf at 85 overall. He is our best defenseman. He has exact top 4 defenseman potential. The 29-year-old with $7 million cap hit. In the future, we may be looking to unload that contract. And to start the season, Stefan Robidahl will be his partner, the 37-year-old who just signed with the Leafs in the offseason, 3 years at $9 million over the 3 years. He is exact top 4 potential. At an 81 overall, he will add experience to the blue line and hopefully help Dion throughout the season. Jake Gardiner, fresh off of signing his $4 million contract in the offseason, he's got medium elite potential. The 24-year-old is looking to have a good season this year. On the second defensive pairing, the 83 overall guy will be playing big power play minutes. And hopefully his partner for the year is Cody Franson. The 27-year-old has 1 year left on his $3.3 million deal, and he will hopefully have a good year to influence us to re-sign him for next year. And rounding out the top 6 defensemen is Morgan Riley. Morgan Riley with medium elite potential, the 20-year-old at 79 overall. He's still got 2 years left on his minor league deal, on his entry league deal, So he's looking to have a good year to grow and maybe earn some more minutes. And his partner for the year will be Roman Polak. Roman was brought in the offseason in a trade that sent Carl Gunnarsson to St. Louis. He will be playing alongside Morgan Riley to hopefully give him some experience and help him out through the year where he lacks an experience Polak can make up. And moving on to the goaltenders, we have Jonathan Bernier, who will be our starter to start the year. And 86 overall, the 26-year-old is looking to influence the Leafs to re-sign him as he's a UFA at year's end, and he's looking to have a good year to solidify himself as the Leafs' number 1. And Bernier's counterpart for the year will be James Reimer, who was also an NHL starter at 85 overall. The 26-year-old, fresh off of signing his $2.3 million deal over 2 years, is looking to battle Bernier for that number 1 job and maybe even overtake him later in the year. Now moving on to scratch players who we will carry on the roster throughout the year. First we have Matt Fratt, medium top 9 forward potential at an 80 overall. He is already 26, so he probably won't grow anymore. We brought him back in the offseason, but it will be interesting to see how he plays, not getting regular ice time. The other forward we will be carrying on the roster is Carter Ashton. At 23 years old, the former first-rounder, who we acquired from Tampa Bay a couple years ago now, with medium bottom 6'4" potential at 79 overall, will also be battling with Matt Fratt and Richard Panik for that fourth-line right-wing position. And rounding out the NHL roster, we have Stuart Percy, our best defensive prospect with low top 4 defenseman potential. The 21-year-old former first-round pick of the Leafs at 73 overall will be playing a decent amount of ice time through injuries and just rotating the squad. Now moving on to prospects, we will go in order of potential. So starting off, we have Frederick Gauthier with medium elite potential. He is a 71 overall currently at 19 years of age. He is still on his entry level deal and will hopefully develop into a solid second line power forward. Next, we have our first round pick from this year's draft, William Nylander, a medium top 6 forward potential at a 68 overall. He is only 18 years old and will hopefully be playing alongside Gauthier in years to come. On the brink of the NHL is Josh Leiva with medium top 9 forward potential. He is a 75 overall and could get the call-up later in the year through injuries and maybe even be playing third or fourth line minutes depending on the amount of injuries this year. Next up is Ryan Rupert, the former London Knight with medium top 9 forward potential. Is a 70 overall, and at 20 years of age, it'll be interesting to see how he progresses and if he will ever make it to the actual big club. Up next is former second round pick Brad Ross with low top 9 forward potential and only a 68 overall at 22. With 1 year remaining on his entry level deal, this is a critical year for Brad Ross progression wise. Moving on to some depth players, we have Troy Bodie, who was re-signed in the offseason, only doing a 1 year deal worth $600,000. He is a 79 overall at 29 years old. He will get a call-up throughout injuries this year. Another guy likely to get called up this year is Trevor Smith, the center, at 78 overall and also at 29 years old. He's on a low deal at only $550,000 per year. It'll be interesting to see how he makes use of his opportunities this year. A very unique case this year is Fraser McLaren at 26 years old, the 76 overall tough guy with medium bottom 6'4" potential, will have to play like an actual player if he's going to want to keep his contract next year. And someone who's looking to take McLaren's spot is David Brohl. Brohl with medium bottom 6'4" potential at 74 overall. He is knocking on the doors of McLaren as he can fight, but he can also actually play hockey. He's a very intriguing prospect for the Leafs. Finally, a defensive prospect other than Stuart Percy, we have Matt Finn, the former second rounder with medium top 6 defenseman potential. At 72 overall and 20 years of age, we are hoping that he will develop nicely, playing his first year of pro after graduating from the Guelph Storm. A man who's looking to turn his career around is Tyler Biggs, the former first rounder with low bottom 6'4" potential, only 72 overall at 21 years of age. He's looking to turn things around and get back to the form that he was in when he was selected in the first round by Brian Burke. Another OHL product from the London Knights is Greg McKegg, with medium bottom 6'4" potential to 71 overall at 22 years old. Could get a call up this year to play left wing if Winnick ever gets injured. Another young gun who could get a call up this year is Sam Carrick, with medium bottom 6'4" potential at 70 overall and also at 22 years of age. He could get a call up to play fourth line minutes, similar situation as Greg McKegg. An intriguing Leafs prospect and one of the higher touted ones in the recent years is Connor Brown, fresh off of leading the OHL in scoring with high bottom 6'4" potential at 69 overall. He is heading into his first professional year without Connor McDavid, and will be interesting to see how he performs without the superstar. Another prospect who has emerged recently is Carter Verhaeghe, with medium bottom 6'4" potential at 67 overall. He will be playing with the Niagara Ice Dogs this year and is looking to boast good numbers again as he did last year. Another, and I say this again, another Leaf prospect who has risen up the ranks in recent years is Antoine Bibeau, with high NHL backup potential to 68 overall, is heading into his first year in the AHL, looking to take the starting job away from Garrett Sparks. Only the second defensive prospect that we've mentioned so far, other than Stuart Percy, is Kevin Marshall, with medium 7th defenseman potential. He is already at 25, and at 70 overall, he likely won't get much better than a bottom 6 AHLer. Going back to the goalies, we have Garrett Sparks with medium AHL starter potential at 70 overall. He's our best prospect when it comes to overall in the minors so far, and will be starting with the AHL team this year. And now falling to third on the depth chart in the AHL is Christopher Gibson, signed after being left by the Los Angeles Kings. The former second rounder has yet to turn his career around, in a similar boat as Tyler Biggs, looking to get a jump start to his career in the AHL. Hasn't got it so far, unlikely to get it this year as well. A man likely to get a call-up this year at some point is Spencer Abbott, with medium top 6 AHL forward potential. At 75 overall, he is already 26, but if he has a good season in the AHL, could get a contract at year's end. Brandon Cozen, who in my opinion is very underrated in this game, with low top 6 AHL forward potential at only 72 overall and 24 years of age. He should be higher overall, but unfortunately EA Sports don't know what they're doing when it comes to ratings and is still pretty poor. I feel the same way about Andreas Janssen as I do about Brandon Cozen. He is severely underrated with only medium top 6 AHL forward potential and only at a 69 overall. He should be a far greater overall in my opinion, with much better potential as he lit it up in Europe this year in the Champions League. I haven't seen or heard much about Fabrice Herzog since he's been drafted, so I don't have a fair opinion on him, but at 66 overall and medium top 6 AHL forward potential, it's nothing to complain about. A man who will likely get a call-up this year to the NHL team is Corbinian Holzer, at medium top 4 AHL defenseman potential, and at 72 overall, he is a right-handed defenseman, whereas Percy's a left-handed defenseman, and I'd like to keep my lefties and righties on their positions, lefty and righty, so he will likely get a call-up if a right-handed defenseman goes down this year. I personally don't know much about Andrew McWilliam besides that he was in that huge scrum against Buffalo when John Scott went after Phil Kessel last year in the preseason, so he is a low top 4 AHL defenseman at 69 overall. I don't have much to say about him, so I'll just leave it at that. Now moving on to the bottom two prospects, we have Renat Valiev at low top 6 AHL defenseman potential at only 60 overall. He won't pan out to be anything. And finally, we have Cody Donaghy, who was signed in the preseason after having a nice training camp. He is low top 6 AHL defenseman potential at a 57 overall. He is even worse than Renat Valiev. And now that we're done with the roster, we can now move on to the other things that we did. We sent a scout to the OHL to scout for defensemen, as we are very poor on the defensive side when it comes to prospects. Now moving on to day 1 starting lineups. As you see there, that is the starting lineup. You can pause to see everything. But the interesting thing is that Richard Panik will be starting on that right wing spot ahead of Ashton and Fratton. And on the defensive side, our top pairing is quite interesting with Phaneuf on the left and Robidas up there. I felt that it was best to give Robidas the top 2 defenseman spot and leave Franzen and Pollock to fight it out on the bottom 4. Now moving on to special teams, all these will move a lot faster, so you can pause to see anything in particular. David Clarkson will be playing on the second unit of the power play. Just pause if you want to see anything. Morgan Riley and Jake Gardner will be playing together on the power play, as I think those two will be fantastic together. So, as I've said multiple times now, just pause if you want to see anything. 3-man penalty kill, Santorelli will be a big part of that. Kessel and Bosek on 4-on-4 lines is going to be our main unit. And with Kadri and JVR, and then Santorelli and Lupul rounding that out. Extra attacker is going to be Kessel and Lupul. Lupul being there because he's the best on the second line in my opinion. And here's our shootout roster. Kessel, Van Riemsdyk, Kadri, Lupul, Bozak. Nothing too surprising there. I just left that as the default. Bernier will start game 1 in Montreal. And other than that, we just have the scratched players, which are Percy, Fratton, and Ashton, which you already knew about. And so now we're going to move on to the assistant captaincies. So first off, Robidas will get a captaincy. I feel like he deserves one, as he is our oldest player on the roster at 37 years old. Our only forward getting a assistant captaincy this year will be Joffrey Lupul. Lupul at 30, I believe he is. Yes, at 30 years old. He is our most experienced forward. And rounding off the assistant captaincies, yes, Dion Phaneuf has been stripped of his captaincy and will be wearing the assistant captaincy this year. So we will have 2 assistants on the back end, 1 up front. So I'd like to thank you for watching this introductory episode. The first actual episode with the game versus Montreal will be out tomorrow. So I'd like to thank you for watching and have a nice day. Goodbye.